Yo, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 25 online game. Today we got the Detroit Lions and the Arizona Cardinals. I got the cards for this game, and one of these two teams is looking pretty good for the playoffs right now. And that's the team that's getting the pick six, the Lions. The Cardinals had their playoff chances hurt severely on Sunday. The Lions, though, on Thanksgiving, they took care of business. It was kind of awkward the way they did it because they made a lot of mistakes doing it in the Lions fashion. But they still whooped the Packers big time. The Matt Flynn-led Packers, we should say. But they got their business done. And I really didn't watch any of the Thanksgiving games. Spent time with family instead. And didn't really watch much football. I watched like pretty much none of the Packers game, like 2 minutes of the Cowboys game, and like the last 2 minutes of the Steelers-Ravens game. Because by the time I got home, that's what was on, like the last 2 minutes of that game. So I caught that. So I don't really got much to say about the Thanksgiving game. The Lions took care of business. Cowboys beat the Raiders as they should have, and you know, they're doing okay as far as keeping pace in the NFC East along with the Eagles. And then the Ravens, they split the series with the Steelers, as they seem to do pretty much every year, as we miss a field goal there, unfortunately. But the way they did it was pretty odd. That game was pretty weird. I didn't even watch most of it. The rest of that game was supposedly weird from what I heard. But the last 2 minutes, you know, Steelers were at the goal line for like 30 minutes trying to score, like first and goal, second and goal. They scored at least like 2 times. Reviews were reversed, all kinds of nonsense. Then when they finally got the touchdown, 4th down and goal, they couldn't get the 2-point conversion. And for both those teams, like their season was kind of on the line there, especially the Steelers, because, well, actually I know both those teams pretty much, because the Ravens have a really tough schedule from here on out. But the Ravens got the win. They're currently the second wild card due to a tiebreaker with Miami. They got the tiebreaker because they beat Miami earlier in the season, so Ravens looking all right. And speaking of Miami, they beat the Jets, and not much to say about that except the Jets quarterback's not looking good. They have absolutely no receivers, like no offensive skill positions, because the receivers, nobody gets open on that team. Like, it's on a scale of whether like Mark Sanchez could play with the team to whether Tom Brady could play with the team, and that's borderline whether Tom Brady could play with that Jets team right now. The Dolphins, meanwhile, they've rebounded pretty nicely from the whole Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin scandal. You thought that would tear the team apart, but you know, ever since that Thursday night game against the Bengals, I don't think they've lost. You know, they got the sack in overtime that game, and that really saved their season, and they're making the most out of this opportunity. And now they're 6-6 and in the thick of the battle for the second wildcard spot in the NFC. The Jets, meanwhile, they're pretty much eliminated. The Cardinals, they're not eliminated, but they took a severe blow because the Niners are the heavy favorites to get that second wildcard spot. Cards needed to win against the Eagles, an Eagles team that struggles to win at home, and they just couldn't do it. Like I said in my preview video, Cardinals aren't really the greatest team on the road, and they proved that. But they were really close. They even came as close as a Patrick Peterson interception that got overturned because of a holding penalty on Matthews that really could have swung the game around. And Matthews was nowhere even close to the game, to the play. Foles just made a bad read. Matthews just happened to be holding on the same play. So that was just unfortunate for the Cards, and the Eagles ended up winning that game. And Foles gets to keep his 0 interceptions for the season. As we were down early, we were down 10-0. This game was really shaky for us. Obviously, I was messing around a little bit early in the game. I threw a screen on the first play that was picked off. But eventually, after I was down, I was like, all right, put your serious face on, Cookie Boy. We're not getting blown out here. This is a sub game, by the way, so I tried to make sure I wasn't going to do that. But he's still moving on offense. Even though we scored our 7 points, he's still going deep. But Patrick Peterson cannot pick it off, unfortunately. But, yeah, Cardinals, I mean, you know, they're a good team. It's just that the Niners are a really good team, and their schedule isn't that tough from here on out. So we'll see how that goes. And let's see, what other games? The Colts, they took care of business in the AFC South, which might now be the worst division in the NFL. Now that there's 2 teams over 500 salary in the East, and the Cowboys and the Eagles, both 7-5, as Peterson lays a big hit there, unfortunately goes out of bounds. The next play, though, we get the interception with Alexander. Big time play there at the goal line on 3rd down and inches where he came out passing. Just keep that in mind as this game goes on out. But yeah, what do you call it? AFC South, yeah, that's like the worst division out there. Colts are doing good, and the rest of the teams are butt cheeks. Titans are under 500 and are missing Locker. Texans are dissembled right now. It's so horrible what's going on with the Texans, even though they almost won on Sunday. And then, of course, the Jags are the Jags. The Texans, of course, like I said, they almost won their game, but they didn't win the game. The Patriots did not cheat, according to, besides what Antonio Smith said. Patriots did not cheat. They straight up won the game. They just, you know, happened to come out firing in the second half. And that's just a classic Belichick-Brady trait. They always seem to adjust in the second half. I mean, you could say last week they cheated against the Broncos to come back from 24-0, but they obviously didn't. And look at that, key play there, no timeouts, and he lets me get a fade in the end zone to Larry Fitzgerald. I was just going to take one shot to the end zone to Larry Fitzgerald, otherwise I was taking my field goal. And I got a touchdown there to take the lead into halftime. And that sequence of plays, 3rd down and inches at the 4-yard line, throws an interception, and somehow I get a touchdown with no timeouts left, with 8 seconds left there, like the 30-yard line. So that completely flipped this game around. Even though he gets ball at half here, it could have been so much better for him. Instead, you know, he's actually down somehow in this game. Anyways, we talk about the Dolphins game. The Vikings. Oh, wait, when we talk about the Jags first, well, I mentioned it before. Go Jags, man. I'm proud of these Jags. I'm proud of the way Gus Bradley's getting these Jags to play, even though it's the Browns. They're winning games, man. They won like 3 of their last 4. Go Jaguars, man. Who saw that coming? Jaguars winning 3 of the last 4 games. Though Josh Gordon went off. He went off. Well, like no quarterback. Brandon Whedon doesn't count as a quarterback. And he somehow got like 270 yards without a quarterback. That says a lot about Josh Gordon, you know. And the Jaguars, they look okay. They might not get the #1 overall pick. I think Coach Bradley's doing a really good job with that team. Anyways, the Vikings and the Bears. That was a really interesting game because it went to overtime and it looked like we might have had another tie because there was not a field goal kicker that could make a field goal. Walsh misses a field goal, then Robbie Gould, who's always reliable but sometimes not that reliable from long ranges, misses a field goal as we throw a key interception there. And I was like, all right, let's put on a try-hard pants. Let's get a touchdown here. And here I am throwing an interception. So try-hard pants aren't even working for me right now. It's nothing that's working for me. We're down 3. We made this nice comeback, and all of a sudden, you know, it was blowing apart. But there he tried to throw the screen pass, but we were on it, so he smartly takes a sack rather than throwing the interception, or even just like a loss of whatever yards. I guess, you know, avoiding the chance of throwing an interception. We end up getting a punt here, forced punt, which is huge in this game. We head to the 4th quarter. So yeah, Patriots took care of business. Not much to say about that. Texans are bad. Patriots are good. Patriots should have won that game more easily, but a win is a win, and that's all that matters in the Belichick and Brady era. And the Vikings got a win to kind of kill the Bears' playoff chances. The Bears need to almost win from here on out every single game to beat the Lions, unless the Lions somehow fall apart this season, which of course is possible, but you know the Bears' run defense is horrific this season. Once Melton went down for some reason, and DJ Williams, they absolutely have no run defense. It's embarrassing. So I don't see the Bears making the playoffs, unfortunately for them. The Vikings, meanwhile, you know, they're playing tough against their division rivals. Tied against the Packers, even with Matt Flynn there. And then they beat the Bears, so kudos to them. And kudos to Adrian Peterson for topping 10,000 yards. Big achievement there. The Panthers took care of business against the Bucs. Not much to say about that. I thought the Bucs would be able to upset the Panthers, but the Panthers did what good teams do. They take care of the bad teams. And that was really impressive what they did. And this is a really impressive tackle here. 4th down, he goes for it. And we get the shoestring tackle inches short of a 1st down. Didn't think we'd be able to do that, but we did it somehow. And then the Falcons and the Bills game, I mean, that was a battle between 2 bad teams in Toronto. Falcons should have lost that game. The Bills had them like, ooh, Ellington, 3rd down and 5. I see you, man. He wants to win this game. I see you, Andre Ellington. Please start him over Mendenhall. What do you call it? Arians? Please do that. But yeah, just 2 bad teams. Falcons should have won that game. You watched the game. It was like 3rd down and goal at the 13-yard line. They get a penalty, 1st down. And then the Bills fumbled twice. Once in field goal range for the win, Stevie Johnson fumbles it. And then again in overtime, Scott Chandler, big game, fumbles the ball. As we get a touchdown there with Ellington to make it a 2-possession game late. The Niners took care of business against the Rams. Even though people were trying to grab Vernon Davis's junk, he decided the way to avoid that is to just jump over them. That's what he did. He jumped over them and was scoring touchdowns, hurdling, spamming that Y button. So the Niners, you know, it could have been a trap game for them. Division opponent in the Rams, who have been playing good lately, but they won at home. So, you know, Niners are looking good for the playoffs. Niners, Seahawks, and maybe Saints after last night. Maybe Saints. And that's next. I might as well talk about that game next because, ew, man, the Saints did not look good on the road. Absolutely not. The Seahawks beat them in all 3 aspects of the game. Straight up. They just dominated that game. Offense, defense, and even special teams. So the Saints have to go back to the drawing board. If they can't win on the road against Seattle in the playoffs, because they're probably going to have to go there if they want to make the Super Bowl, because the road to the playoffs goes through Seattle, things aren't looking good for them. And that sets up a potential maybe like playoff matchup against the Niners again. I don't know. I'm just not feeling good about. I felt good about the Saints going into the game. I even predicted them to win, but not anymore. The Chiefs, I don't feel good about them either. Same with the Saints in a way. Well, even worse than the Saints, because the Chiefs, now that they're playing tough opponents, they're being exposed. The offense is looking good, but now all of a sudden the defense isn't looking good. Marcus Cooper got absolutely shredded by Eric Decker and all Peyton Manning's weapons because Peyton Manning is quarterback. And, you know, they just went to work on them. Broncos, they still look good. They still like the favorite in the AFC, even though they lost last week in a heartbreaking fashion. They still look really good. And the Chiefs, they look like a team that's going to get beat in the wildcard round. That's what I said in like week 3, and I still feel that way now in week 13. They're going to be a team that makes the playoffs and gets beat in the wildcard round against whoever they face, whether it's like Cincinnati or the Colts or whoever. I don't know. I just don't feel that good about them. And the Bengals and the Chargers, speaking of the Bengals, they took care of business against the Chargers, and it's what I predicted exactly. It's a game the Chargers could steal, but they haven't shown an ability to steal a game all year, and they didn't. Instead, they blew the game by fumbling 3 times. Now, one of those fumbles count as a Phillip Rivers interception because Gates fumbled the ball into somebody's hands, but it was basically 3 fumbles. Can't put that one on Rivers. Rivers hit the main on point there, but you know, now the Bengals are looking good in the AFC North. The Chargers are pretty much done, and that pretty much does it. The Giants beat the Redskins. Not going to waste any time talking about that because those are like the bottom teams in the NFC East. Who really cares about them? But go Giants for winning that game, man. And also, good job refs for screwing that game up. It was pretty stupid, pretty horrendous the way they screwed that up. But at the same time, that didn't cost the Redskins the win. You could say whatever, but at the end of the day, the Redskins lost because they're bad. And the Giants won because they're bad, but not as bad as the Redskins. So on that note, hope you guys leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more Madden 25 online games and all that. And I'll catch you guys next time.